Good evening. My name is Abdel, and I'm here to talk about the fundamentals of insurance. I like to start off with the definition of financial. Insurance is a contract represented by a policy in which an individual or entity receives financial protection or reimbursements against the loss from an insurance company. The legal definition: the insurance contract is one though which the insurer, by receiving premium, is obligated to pay the indemnity against the insured, which the agreed limits if the expected event occurs. The person who contracts insurance is the policyholder in exchange for a payment of the premium, the amount of money in one or several installments. Agrees a consideration, a capital insured, well insured, that would be paid to the beneficiary, one or more people, in the event of a claim. Any of the insured events defined in the contract occurs. For example, in a third party automobile insurance, a person contracts an insurance policy to cover the risk of causing a loss at the wheel. And this fact occurs and you have a responsibility, the insurance will take care of the damages caused to other vehicles, people, and other goods, up to the maximum amount agreed to contract. A person who takes out the insurance, what they get is to be covered in an event of a loss and cannot face its consequences. Compensation to third parties, cessation of business activity, replacement of assets, medical expenses, etc. This is why it is said that the main objective of insurance is to save. It is saved because the person who takes out the insurance pays only the agreed amount as premium, which is normally less than the damages covered. In most important claims cases, it is when the insurance has the most value, since the difference between having one or not may be that the business closes or can continue with its activity, or that a family does not have a place to live. Insurance may contain some clauses intended to set franchises, which in practice has been the minimum amount of damages above the insurance is responsible. In other words, in the case of a claim which a car insurance with the franchise of $300, all claims for an amount less than or equal to the amount are borne by the insured, while everything that exceeds said amount will be borne by the insurance. There may also be a grace period in insurance, which are agreed periods of time during which insurance has no effect. These periods are used to protect companies from possible fraud from people who want to take out insurance when a claim has already occurred. The term loss in insurance is a reduction in the economic value due to some events. Insurance companies design clauses that define a situation when the policyholder will not receive the consideration in the case of a loss. The insurance doesn't exist where there is a chance of loss or certainty of loss. Hazards are the events and circumstances that increase the likelihood of occurrence of perils. It may include jumping or diving because it increases the chances of loss. Hazards are divided into three heads. Physical hazards include the behaviors or physical conditions that increase the chances of loss. It includes smoking, wiring, jobs on high altitude, and usage of dangerous equipment. Moral hazards relates more mortality. It links with immoral behaviors like frauds and lies. Moral hazards links with situations that results in reckless and careless attitude. Peril are the events and circumstances that can cause a loss, like accidents, fire, and road accidents. Insurance transforms the risk to which people or organizations are exposed into variable probabilities through a special organization. They constitute a basic piece of current social structure, and they are manifested into two large groups: Social Security and private insurance. The Social Security allows the state to provide protection to its citizens in the event of unemployment, retirement, disability, death, or health issues. It is often mandatory. While private insurance is voluntary and fulfills its functions of protecting against personal or material damage of various kinds, they are normally classified into two categories: life and health insurance, and property damage or accident insurance. Whether the private or governmental level, insurance plays such an important role that no other financial instruments capable of paying back so much for so little investment has yet to be invented. However, both must be governed by inviolable basic principle that if for some reason neglected can lead either the institution or insolvency or bankruptcy. Let's see what some of these basic principles are and make a relationship between private insurers and the Social Security Fund. The first and the first and most important is the principle of good faith that has to do with the concept of pure risk. That is to refers to covering an insured by charging a fair amount that is in private insurance called a premium, the which has been scientifically calculated according to the age of the person and according to the principle of probability of occurrence of the risk, whether there is disability, old age, or death. In Social Security, we call it quotas, and these are calculated from a fixed percentage of the salary. In the end, what we both want to measure is the probability of mortality, death or survival, or morbidity, disease or disability. The second important principle is the principle of mutuality, which basically means losses of few are covered by the contribution of many. Hence, the collection of a fair minimum premium or fees essential to maintain equity in the system. If we want to diagnose of the situation currently facing Social Security, we would say that the losses of many, the beneficiaries, are being covered by the contribution of the few, the insured. In other words, we are doing this backwards. The third basic principle is the compensation principle, which means that the insurance is not for the winning, insurance is not for the losing. To receive compensation, I must have made the corresponding payments and the risk should be pure. Here again, the theme of values and honesty is focused. If insurance were to become speculative, it would also be violating the fundamental rule of our business, which would eventually lead to any insurer going bankrupt. Here comes the addition to the issues of values, the issue of control, audits. We cannot leave everything in the hands of good faith. The fourth inviolable principle is the principle of equity, which basically means that each risk or insured must pay a fair amount and must be evaluated according to the conditions and the characteristics. Here again, we focus on the issue of policyholders and the beneficiaries. There's no way to ensure that the system is equitable and is maintained without charging the fair price to each insured. Property insurance, as name depicts, protects from damages related to property. Ocean Marine protects the goods to transit through the ship. Worker compensation plan gives the wages to employers who injure on the job. Business interruption protects from the indirect losses. Personal and commercial insurance lines protects from the personal risks and commercial risks respectively. Life insurance policy protects from the peril of death. Nominee gets the sum amount. Disability income protects in times of disability and provides monthly amounts. Group insurance plans are designed for organization, which takes insurance package for employees. The main part of the cost is called pure premium, which means the real cost of the risk assumed by the insurer without taking into account its management costs. As other expenses are added, the premium is called, in other words, inventory premium, adding administration costs, rate premium, adding external management costs, and lastly, the total premium, which includes taxes and other concepts, such as the amounts destined to the insurance compensation consortium. But the fundamental part is the first. In the case of life insurance, two variables are taken into account. One, on the one hand, biometric tables that reflect the death and the survival probabilities of a group of people according to age. In them, you can see the number of people over a certain age. To these are added the probabilities taken into account the previous tables, and the probabilities of death or survival that are necessary for calculating the premium are calculated. And of course, combining them, the amount we want to insure. With all of this, and through a complex formula, the premium will remain. All this makes it logical that the younger, the cheaper life insurance is, since the chances of survival are much higher. Auto insurance claims. So begin with the probability that your car suffers an accident or the accident rate that is usually present. In calculating this value, the insurance take into account the statistics in the database available to establish mathematical models that determine the probability that something will happen to your vehicle. The loss ratio is an a priori calculation, and insurers try to be accurate as possible with it. The value is calculated with the car model and the date of incidents at the place of residence. For example, a car that appears among the most stolen is an entity that with several thefts causes a high premium. Sum assured. To calculate this, the commercial value of the vehicle and the depreciation that it suffers year by year are used. For example, in the ARCA, the lowest cost for a 2019 Nissan Versa is 11,503 pesos, while for a 2017 Nissan Versa, the lowest price is 8,523 pesos. As you can see, it is a difference proportional to the depreciation suffered by the vehicle. This is because the sum insured is also less. In a theft or total loss, the insurer has to pay more for the 2019 Versa than for the 2017. So the total premium is higher for the first vehicle. Obviously, the more the vehicle costs, the more impact the total cost of a premium can have. However, this is not always the case. For example, in our article on the 10 vehicles with the cheapest insurance, you will see that there are some cars with the relatively higher price but for a very cheap auto insurance premium. This is due to the ease and the low cost of obtaining auto parts and spare parts. Finally, the availability of a vehicle in the market is also an important factor in determining the price of insurance. As you can imagine, it is not the same to replace a Nissan for a total loss as a Ferrari. The last slide, you can see cost and benefits to society. I won't be touching based on that, but you can see the examples on the slide. Thank you very much.